Cuckoo in the Nest by Lara E. Sims. Narrated by Nathan Beatty. Copyright 2016 by Lara E. Sims. A cuckoo in the nest is an expression used to describe someone who is part of a group, but different from them. The person is disliked by the people they are trying to mix with. Part 1. How Everything Began. Those who have lived a good life do not fear death, but meet it calmly, and even long for it in the face of great suffering. But those who do not have a peaceful conscience dread death as though life means nothing but physical torment. The challenge is to live our life so that we will be prepared for death when it comes. Anonymous. Prologue. 1995. The atmosphere was as thick as stodgy porridge. There was no air in the room to breathe. The stench of death impending hung in the air, waiting to engulf the elderly man in the bed. He could feel the tension in the air, as every last breath was held by the healthy people in the room, and then exhaled in relief, as it didn't prove to be the last. A suitable place for children, perhaps you would consider not, but they were there, in the background, their presence well and truly forgotten. The man in the bed looked like a ghost already. The phrase, "not long for this world," certainly applied to him. The child wondered if you could see inside the old man's skull what he would see. Would it be the grade 4 brain tumor, burrowing deeper and deeper in, like some grotesque worm, eating the organs slowly, piece by piece, in a parody of some alien being, suffocating inch by inch the genius of the human being? Everyone jumped about a foot in the air, as the 3-year-old child sat quietly on an adult's lap, gurgled. She had dropped her dummy, and wanted the world to know, so someone would retrieve it for her, oblivious to the seriousness of the situation. As if responding to the child, the patient sighed deeply, and then breathed no more. It was as though the sound were his permission to leave the mortal world, and he had taken the invitation, as though it were an outstretched hand the child had offered him. Chapter 1. 2003. He sat on a bench in the park. There was a memorial plaque on it, to a long-forgotten somebody, put there by someone who was equally long-forgotten, he thought. Why did people do this? Thought the now 16-year-old boy. He was no stranger to death, but why must people put meaningless tributes and shrines where nobody else would care? It was like graves. They were just shrines. He had always thought that he would like to be cremated. A puff of smoke and you were gone, just a pile of ashes, so neatly disposed of. However, it was the life in between that mattered. He could see people everywhere in the summer heat. There were joggers and people enjoying ice creams. It could be all over in a heartbeat. He had been to school this morning to collect his GCSE results. All A's, so he would be taking up his place at Cambridge in September. How did he feel about that? He wasn't sure. It wasn't the leaving home that was the problem. That was the easy part. The atmosphere hadn't been the same since Eleanor. How could it ever be the same again? Everything had changed. It was no longer the sanctuary it once had been. Had it ever really been as safe as that? No, he couldn't think about that. It just made him angry. But she had been the golden child. The child his parents thought they could never have. After having him there had been complications, which meant that his mother could never again conceive a child naturally. He was slightly hazy on the details. His parents had been devastated and debated long and hard before deciding to trust science and God simultaneously. If it was meant to be, it would happen. Their joy had been overwhelming when they discovered that their first attempt had been successful. It was fate. They had cheered. However, last year, was it just last year, at the tender age of just
Sample complete. Ready to continue?